Special guest Eric Hubbs, host of the Short Porch, Barstool Sports. I guess before we get into the Yankee stuff right now, I asked this to Clem when I had him on. How do you guys decipher who you're gonna be a fan of when you grow up? Is it a strict? My dad's a Yankees, so I'm a Yankees.
Yeah, my dad threw Yankees. There's pictures of me like 1 month old wearing Yankee stuff. Like that was a non-starter to be a Mets fan. It was never even. I probably didn't even know what the Mets were until I was like 7. I only thought the Yankees were like the only team to choose from. My dad slapped pinstripes on me as early as he could.
I like it. So
I'm wearing red, by the way. I don't know if you know.
I appreciate that.
I like the red. I enjoy the Reds. They're a fun offensive team to watch, and if I can get past Sonny Gray, I like Luis Castillo a lot.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, I mean we're both in the same pot there. Yeah. We're struggling. You guys have a better chance than we do right now. But okay, so
we'll get to that.
Okay, so all right, favorite Yankee of your lifetime, just of your lifetime, no outside.
I'm not choosing Jeter because that's the answer. That's not a fun answer, but like that is like the guy I idol. Like when he was going to the Hall of Fame, I wrote a blog, and I basically at 3 a.m. I wrote this thing the day before he got in the hall. He got it enshrined. I poured my heart out for Jeter. That's my guy. That's like I said he's the second most important male figure in my life next to my dad. That's how important Derek Jeter is to me. I mean, I can't name you. I don't have a brother. And honestly, if I did have a brother, it'd still probably be Derek Jeter. My answer to that is typically Hideki Matsui. I love Matsui. That's the ultimate Yankee. You put him in any generation of the Yankees, he fits in like a glove. Super clutch, especially in 09, that postseason run. He just destroyed whoever came up to him. I never wanted to leave. I never understood why he left. Went to Oakland and then Tampa, and it was just weird. It never felt like he belonged anywhere else but New York. He's still, whenever he comes back, he gets this huge ovation because he's just beloved. Always did the right thing out there. Bombs. I also just love Godzilla off the side, so the fact that they combine that's great. Matsui is my guy.
So I want to talk about, obviously, as a Yankees fan, I feel like you hear 27 rings every time, a lot. But can you talk about what's your baseline expectation coming into a year? I know it can change, but is it kind of I don't want to say championship or bust, but is it kind of if we don't win a playoff, obviously not making the playoffs this year it looks like that's a real possibility, is an extreme disappointment. But how do you
game back? But
on the team, but does it depend on the team, or is it just as a Yankees fan knowing the I guess the history of, you guys were.
Yeah, you guys being Reds fans don't get it, but right. If we don't win the World Series, that's the goal. There's no other expectation. When you charge as much money as they do at the stadium, right. When you pay the players as much as they do, you hold them to that standard, and you can't sell for anything less. That's just how it's always been my entire life. There's never been a season, no matter how many weird veterans they had in those post 2009, those 2011, 2012, 2013, those were, the Vernon Wells teams and Travis Haffers. You still just it's the Yankees. We get in the playoffs, we're going to win the whole thing. That's just how you're ingrained and programmed. That's really, it's World Series bust every single year. Even right now, as things are so doom and gloom, and how negative things I tweet, right as you're getting me at this time of day, 6:08, we're recording this. Once I get to 6:50 or whatever, I'm lying. I sit down on my couch. I get I get a beer, and I'm we're gonna win this game, and we're gonna win the next game. And you know what? Maybe the Blue Jays and Red Sox will trip up, and look at that, we're in the wild card game. Let's go, baby! We win this, we win that. I'm so messed up in my brain that it's always like that. I'll never lose faith in them, no matter what I tweet or whatever. I will never give up. I'll never miss an inning. It's just, they're my team. That's it.
So okay, so going back on that real quick, when you guys obviously get all the veterans that nobody else can sign them, nobody else can pay for them, but then you guys get them. Does it make the homegrown guys more special, or is it is everybody's the same at that point? You know what I mean? The Reds, we get Nick Castellanos. That's our best. That's
who's awesome.
Who's
I mean,
awesome.
He's awesome.
He's great.
Who's awesome. But we'll never get Trevor Story. We're never going to get those guys.
Hubs, that was the highest paid contract we've had outside of the organization in like ever. So
but that's what I'm talking about. Like, does it make the homegrown guy?
Hey, at least they went to him and not Bauer.
Oh,
true.
well,
That's
that's
true.
thank
That's,
God.
yeah,
Thank God.
That's fair.
Thank God.
That's a fork in the road that you chose the right side of.
That's fair.
I don't know, because a guy like Garrett Cole, who's not homegrown, I feel like he's my, like a part of my family. Like I've always wanted Garrett Cole. There are blogs from when he was getting traded from the Pirates, and like the offer out there was something around Clint Frazier. It's always Clint Frazier and Andahar basically, but there were a few other guys in there. I was like, do it. Chance Adams, I think, was one of them. I was like, please, I want, like, he's Roger Clemens 2.0. Then he goes to Houston and becomes Roger Clemens 2.0, and somehow doesn't win the World Series. He doesn't win a World Series there, but or Cy Young somehow. But I mean, he feels homegrown. Like a guy, grew up a Yankee fan. There's always pictures of him. It's like he feels like he's always been a Yankee to me, and he fits in so well, and he always says the right thing. So for the Yankee fan, no, I guess maybe like a guy like Judge, yeah, like him to be like the cornerstone of the franchise and homegrown and all that. It helps a little bit. For the most part, though. Like, if the guy's really good, I'm gonna love him no matter what.
Yeah, no.
So with this season, kind of has been a roller coaster. You had to 13,
Yep.
13 wins in a row, and I thought I thought you guys were dead. Then you won 13 in a row. I'm like, well, they're going to be a tough out in the playoffs. So
gave it right back.
Aaron Boone. I know. Just you don't have to listen to the Short Porch for very long to realize, like, you guys not big Aaron Boone guys. So
no.
Who's the ideal manager for, like, you get to handpick the Yankees next manager?
I wanted him in the offseason. I didn't want Boone back this year. I wanted Buck Showalter, and I still want Buck Showalter. He works for the Yes Network, so he's doing studio work, and you can like hear him talk baseball. And it's like that's just a guy I want. And because he brings both, because he embraces analytics, but he also has that veteran voice who can, like, I trust him to make an off-the-fly decision based off of his career than Aaron Boone. Like, no question about it. And hopefully he's learned from the Zach Britton Orioles debacle. I would hope by now. Maybe use your really, really good pitcher in a really good spot and most important game of the year. But, we all make mistakes. Boone's made a lot of them. And I don't even know, like, you don't know how much input Boone is actually making into every single one of these decisions. He doesn't make the lineup at all. I know that for a fact. Like, that comes from the top. They give him, like, hey, here's 1 through 9 that we think is the best for this situation. And he has, like, technically, like, power to overrule it, but he probably doesn't do that. Like, he probably overrules it once in a blue moon. If he, like, is talking to the players and a guy's like, I don't want to play today or I can't do this, then he'll say something. But for the most part, like, I don't think he has any control in the lineups. In-game decisions, sure, that probably falls on him. So it's tough to criticize. You don't know what to criticize. But, like, at the end of the day, for me, Aaron Boone has to be the face of those decisions to the media, and he's a terrible face. He just says the same thing over and over and over and over again. And even yesterday, before the game, and I know Gary Sanchez hits his home run, and it happens to be right after we put out a clip of me saying we're moving on from Gary in the offseason. And then I cheered Gary Sanchez homer, and people are like, "You're so hypocritical." I'm like, you think I'm going to root against Gary Sanchez?
Right.
I just don't think he should be the catcher next year. I hope he hits 1 billion home runs the rest of the year and changes my mind. But, like, that's another story. I was just mad about that with Twitter. Twitter people are just the worst. But before the game, they're asking about Gary, and Gary has cost the team 3 games in the past eight games, I would say, with his debacle with in the rain. God, I'm blanking on where the game was. It was, where did they play that game?
The Baltimore? Or no?
Baltimore, correct. Yeah, right. He drops 2 balls in extra innings with Clay Holmes, or in the 9th inning, and they lose. The tag play with the Mets, I've never seen anything like that in my life, where he just didn't know what to do.
Yeah, that was
and then over the weekend, he drops the infield pop out, which you can't blame them scoring 8 more runs the rest of the game on that, but it would have been 2 outs, nobody on, instead of first and second, 1 out, or first runner on first, 1 out, and then the next pitch hits the guy, and then it's first and second, and then all of a sudden Hill's out of the game, whatever. But it always happens with him. He doesn't get any better defensively. I think they said last night, framing-wise, he's 55th out of 60 eligible catchers in framing statistics. And it's the same thing every year. And they tried the one-legged stance, and it doesn't work. And he's a streaky hitter. And when he's on, he brings an advantage at the position by far more than most catchers. Like JT Realmuto, Buster Posey's not really catching anymore. But there are a few guys out there, only a handful, that are better than him hitting as a catcher. But defensively, there are a whole lot more who can like Higashioka. I trust so much back there defensively and calling the game, and there's a reason Garrett Cole trusts him way more than Gary. But what I'm getting at here is Aaron Boone isn't truthful when he talks to the media, and he's like, he's had a few bad games, but he's been really good this year. No, he hasn't. Like defensively, he just hasn't. He just hasn't been good this year, and it's been the same stuff. And Boone just isn't truthful, and this pissed me off today. Luke Voit is basically rendered a bench player right now. When the whole Rizzo trade happened and they didn't trade Voit, and there was a whole debacle of what happens to Luke now, right? And then they started to play Giancarlo more, and it made sense. And here's what you got to do. You got to go Judge in center or Gallo in center. And I don't understand why they never did that, but they have not done that. So you play Gallo in one of the corners, Stanton in one of the corners, and you're DHing Voit, and you play Rizzo. That's your best lineup by far. And Luke Voit, they played him a little bit right after that. He won AL Player of the Week. And right before this, Boone said, I talked to him. He's going to be a vital piece of this lineup moving forward. Luke Voit has barely played in the last month. I mean, he had multiple, like, if you look at his last month, like, his last 2 months, he's an 864 OPS. In the last month, that number's a little down, but if you look at actually how many games he's played, he's getting like one at bat here and there. Maybe he'll get a start here. You can't beat Luke Voit. Like, you can't put that on him for not, unique, consistent playing time. He was getting that the previous month. He hasn't gotten the second half. And look at the team. They've crumbled. Like, it's go figure, man. You play Brett Gardner's won for his last 17, but we still put Gardner out there, and we don't do the Voit. So you just lied to the fan base, and you lied to Luke Voit about playing him. That's stuff that bothers me. It's less of the in-game decisions. I know, like, he's not in control of all that, but he is in control of what he has to say to the media, and he's horrible at it.
No. Okay, so going off that
was a lot. I'm sorry. I just don't like him.
I get it.
So who do you think's like the Reds? Clearly, we have a team leader right now. It's Joey Votto. Who would you say is the team leader right now outside of the egg that is Brett Gardner?
The crazy thing is, like, it would be Voit if he was playing. Like, that's what he's. That's what I thought. He's always like that. Like last year, when everyone who had a pulse, besides Brett Gardner, who I'm convinced you could drop out of a plane and he would survive. Everyone on the team has had COVID besides Brett Gardner. He's immune to. It's unbelievable how he is just like, his body needs to be studied. Real talk, like, and we could probably like advance the human race further. When Luke was in there last year, playing on one foot, leading the league in home runs, carrying this team to the playoffs by himself with everyone else hurt. He's the guy that when they had a little bit of a slide, he'd go right to the media and he'd tell you, he's the opposite of Boone. He'd tell you exactly what's going to go on and what is happening and why they're not playing well. And they got to get their act together right now. And that's the type of guy he is. He is really good in that clubhouse, and you've basically taken that away. And I don't blame him for being pissed off right now. And he's probably like, people like to zero in him on the dugout and be like, oh, he doesn't look happy for this guy. This guy's had it a whole career taken away from him. For really no, I mean, yeah, he got hurt. Best ability is availability. You get that, but like, I feel bad for the guy, like 100%. And you've taken that like kind of voice out of the clubhouse, so I'm sure it's Aaron Judge for sure. Garrett Cole, definitely is a leader in there, but there really is no like Joey Votto. I don't like Judge. Judge wants to be Jeter. I don't think he can be Jeter. He can't have that leadership, like just leading by. I don't even know what I'm trying to say, but leading by action and all that, and everyone just follows Jeter, and you gain that confidence from him. I'm sure Judge is a good leader in there. I don't think he's like a Joey Votto. Like, I think Votto is a leader. Votto, also Rizzo, but he hasn't been there long enough to kind of like know everyone. If he was there the whole year, he'd be the answer. But like Votto is just the best, and the fact that he's completely picked up. He was in a little bit of slump those previous years, and he's really had an awakening here lately. It's good to see. But yeah, I wish we had a Joey Votto type in there the whole year, and that answer is Rizzo, but he hasn't been there the whole year.
Yeah, I would agree. I still don't understand the Luke Voit stuff completely. I love this quote. I forget what quote it was, but it was like Do you think you need an off day? No, I've had like 100 of those this year, and that was my favorite
Yeah.
Voigt quotes.
Yeah, but they still give it to him. Obviously, way too many of them.
All right, this is just an off the Yankee question, but kind of still in the Yankees. Between Frankie, Tommy, Big Ev, and Mush, who's the worst to watch a Yankees game with?
Frankie, Tommy, Big Ev's great. I'm like picturing when we're on a stream. Big Ev's great because like he'll just like speak things into existence. Like he'll get high enough or whatever, and he'll just be like I know what's gonna happen, and it just happens. Like he just gets in those zones and he's quiet. I love watching games with Frankie. Frankie's hilarious. And I don't watch enough with him because he's always doing golf stuff, whatever. But typically around October we get together. Tommy's the worst by far. Tommy, if there's one, Aaron Judge strikes out in the first inning. You know, this guy, he just screams and he curses them off, and it's like he just can't control himself too. Like he knows it. He knows he's like that. He just can't control himself in October. He just gets too nuts. Mush is pretty even keeled for the most part. But Tommy is just way too irrational. Like there are moments to unleash, and he just does it all too much. It's like we have 9 innings here, and it's game 1, Tommy. Like we gotta buckle it in, and he just doesn't do that. So Tommy's
okay. And then now when Carabas does his stupid fucking, excuse my language, stupid fucking Hubs voice, when he goes, when he does that, how do you not fucking block him?
I mute the conversation and I continue on my day.
That's the mute button.
That's a smart thing to do.
The mute conversation button is the greatest button to ever exist. If ever I have a bad tweet and people quote tweet it, just hit mute conversation, move on with your day, and don't really get too butthurt about it, because at the end of the day, Twitter's just a bunch of fake people you'll rarely meet in your life, if you ever meet them. So that's the only way you can do it. Biggest
Twitter asshole, White Sox Dave Carabas.
Carabas is 24/7 just attack. You know, he's just going at me. White Sox Dave is just a buffoon and an idiot. So it's like he usually doesn't even make sense what he's saying half the time, and like it usually comes back to bite him because at the end of the day he's a White Sox fan.
Yeah.
So Carabas is the answer there. Plus Yankees Red Sox is a legitimate rivalry, whereas the White Sox are not.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, Hub. So I got some rapid fire.
Give it to me. Yep.
Just kind of everything here. We asked the least favorite Yankee of all time.
Greg Bird. I despise everything that guy had. Oh God. And his army of followers who thought he was way better than Voit. And I was the number 1 Voit guy from the start. And they just hung on for dear life. And they never let go. And I saw a tweet the other day about his minor. He's like 30 homers in the minors. And it's like, all he does is mash in the minors and in spring training, and then he'll break his foot, and then he comes back and hits 180, and that's it. And it's I despise Greg Bird. His quote about having like 5,000 more chances when he was slumping and they were terrible. I think they got swept by the Orioles. He was smiling. And in the club, they asked him about his slump. He's like, you know what? I don't really get too butthurt about it because I got 5,000 more chances. And I was like, I absolutely cannot stand anything about you. Greg Bird's my answer.
Who's the Packers QB in 2022?
Jordan Love. Probably Jordan Love. That's what I figured. The way it's built, Rodgers is gone.
Yeah. Favorite memory at Yankee Stadium in person? Either new or old, doesn't either one.
So I've never been to like a truly like a 3,000 hit or, something like that. I went to the game where they kicked the shit out of the A's in the wild card game where Judge hits the homer of Hendricks and the place went bananas and Sevy had so that was fun. I saw Judge's 495-foot bomb against the Orioles and I had a perfect view of it. I was sitting like third base line and just like the visual of that ball just continually to like increase its height made no sense to my brain. And then I was also at the first Astros game this year, which was basically a war zone. Yeah. And that was a lot of fun. And that's probably the most important, impactful game, just like history-wise. Like, that's the Astros' first game in front of Yankee Stadium fans since the scandal. Mm-hmm. So that's pretty much my answer. It's one of those three. I saw a bunch of Matsui walk-offs to the old, he was the best. But no, I'd say it's probably the Astros one.
If you could pick any in tennis and any doubles pair, like you could pair up any 2 tennis players, who would you want on and a doubles pair.
Tennis question is not what I saw coming here. I like
I
that.
know. Hey,
I'm by the way,
good.
humble brag. I'm all city, Cincinnati tennis. So don't worry about it. Don't worry about
Love it. Love
it.
it. Honestly, just to Kyrgios and Federer. I mean, how can it not be those two guys? Because you're going to get Kyrgios only plays his absolute best when he's playing either with or against high talent. And he obsesses over Federer, so he would give you his all, and then you get to watch Federer and those two together. And I think they like each other too. That would be an absolute ball to watch those two play.
I agree.
All right, a couple more. Favorite red turned Yankee: Sal Romano, Jay Bruce, Todd Frazier, Ryan Lamar, or Wandy Peralta.
I can't believe you just brought in Jay Bruce to this podcast. I forget. People forget he was a Yankee this year. People also forget Darren O'Day was. I remember that the other day. Darren O'Day was a Yankee this year.
Starting first baseman Jay Bruce.
So Sal Romano, Jay Bruce, Todd Frazier. Who else?
Wandy Peralta, and Ryan Lamar.
Ryan Lamar was awesome. Like until he absolutely just died this year. He destroyed his entire leg. I actually forgot exactly how. I think he tore his ACL. I think he tore everything in his knee. He gave it his all. Ryan Lamar was fun. But the answer's got to be Todd because he was just big in like that run that they had. Like he hits the home run. I don't even know. Still this day, he throws his bat at the ball in the playoffs and it still went over the wall. So I'll probably go Todd with a close second being Wandy's been so cool. And Wandy just yells at himself on the mound, so it's kind of fun. So Wandy would be number 2.
And then the last question is thoughts on the Sessa trade?
Thank you. Thank you for your donation.
I don't know if you saw me. I went on a rant on Twitter, and Hal saying that, like, we won't go over the luxury. We will go over the luxury tracks if we have to. And then coincidentally trading one of your best relievers who has really turned it around and fan base likes now just to dump Justin Wilson. Yeah. And now there's a reason Chad Green is gasping for air when he goes onto the mound because he pitches every day because they have no one else. And obviously they couldn't foresee Britton going down and Loaiza for this period. But you know you're going to have relievers taxed at the end of the year. You got to keep as many as you can. And to trade because you have to stay under the number is so embarrassing. And Sessa has been money. And people are acting like he's all of a sudden really good on the Reds. He was good for the Yankees in the first half. He had like a 2.82, I want to say. And how's Wilson been? Has he done anything for you?
He's been okay. Like he hasn't been horrible, but he's been okay. I guess.
Getting him out of my life was a good thing. He was a horrific. He just never got better. And he would get hurt and be like, "Oh, Justin Wilson's back." We're like, why did we even like opt to rehab it? Why didn't we just be like, no? Their inability to just DFA people, like it's embarrassing. They're like, oh, we got to get something for these guys. So let's attach Sessa. And oh, look at that, he's got 145 on the Reds. Look at that, he's helping. If they have any chance to get in, he's going to be a part of it. And yeah, that's where we're at. So I hate that.
Well, the last thing real quick. To anybody listening that doesn't like the Yankees just because everybody hates the Yankees, that's just a stereotype. Everybody just hates the Yankees. I will go to my grave saying this. I tell Zach every time we record, I think the Dodgers are so much worse than the Yankees because they don't have fans that care. When Scherzer had his 3,000 strikeout or whatever that was, there was 4 fans there. There's nobody that cares about Dodger baseball.
They really just like fighting.
Yeah,
that's it. Like they're really good for a brawl every series, every important series. Like the Giants are in town, the Astros are in town. Yep. Someone's going to get the shit kicked out of them. Like, it's appointment television. So for a blogger, I appreciate them because those fights are always like page you heaven for me. But yeah, I mean, yeah, they don't care. Plus, they got their World Series, so now they're really like they hadn't won in forever, and now they did. So like, all right, we're all win again. Okay, cool, but like it'd be cool. You know, it's fine. We don't go Rams, I guess, and if not, then go Lakers. That's what they're thinking. So they're not appreciating how unbelievable Scherzer has been for them, and it's still like it's crazy. He just doesn't give up runs. And Trey Turner, like that Trey Turner video the other day where he just basically hit fast forward and ran the first, like. Yeah. That's unbelievable. Yeah, the Dodgers fans, I'm not going to get on too much because I do like the fights, but I get what you're saying.
But man, thank you so much for doing this. And go knock the Red Sox out of a spot, will you?
Do our best. Let's hope the Blue Jays lose again. Maybe the Rays can continue helping us. It was shocking they actually pulled that out tonight, last night. So, yeah, hopefully. And good luck. What do you guys, 3 back or something like that?
3 back, yeah.
3 back.
We got the Nationals, Pirates, and White Sox. So all right.
Okay. All right. And the
Pirates
White Sox
twice.
probably won't care too much about that series, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably not.
Cardinals are playing the Brewers now, so we need the Brewers to win a game.
Yeah.
And you're chasing the Cardinals?
Yeah.
Right, because the NL West has the
Yeah,
other
yeah,
spot.
Right.
Okay, I'm rooting for you guys because Cardinals are so boring.
They're
That's
so-
like
they're so
Every
good.
year.
I like Castillo. I like the offense you guys have. You guys are great. I will root for the Reds. You root for the Yankees, and we'll meet each other in the World
Yeah,
Series.
well,
about that.
that's what we'll do. All
See you
right.
there.
Thank
All
you
right.
so much. Thank you
Thanks,
so
guys.
much, man.
Appreciate it, man.
You got it, man. No problem. Appreciate it.
See you.
Take care.